Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome to another video. And in today's video, I'll be going through how you can use the news in Forex trading and how you can incorporate that into your trading using these fundamental releases in news and data. So let's get right to it. Here's what we're going to cover. So why is news important and what is the news is most significant, how to read the news and how to trade with it as well. So why is news important to pay attention to? Well, the simple reason is liquidity. So what will happen is at the time that the news is released, the market will be using that opportunity, the market participants will be using that opportunity to trade the liquidity of the market. So when you have a market moving in a certain direction, there will always be orders in different places, above, below, and the market will begin to take that liquidity on several sides. And once that liquidity is taken, the market can move in its intended direction because the market always equalizes itself. And for every buyer, there has to be a seller, and for every seller, there has to be a buyer. So you will see a lot of volatility during news times. Sometimes you will see none, and the market will do something like this, will continue to consolidate, or it might spike and stop for a bit longer. We never know what's going to happen, but the news does create opportunities and it also creates risk because it is very tricky to predict where the market will go in that moment. However, it is possible to incorporate it into your trading. So it's important to pay attention to for one reason, because it creates an opportunity and therefore you can trade along with it. And the other reason is that if you have orders or stop losses somewhere near the current market price, the market can create the volatility and take you out. So let's continue. And what news is most significant? Okay, so major news that you should be aware of are these. Do look out for them. Central bank rate decisions, central bank heads of the central bank speeches, meetings and minutes, unemployment data, and these are all for each country, each economy, and also for world economies. Some are affected locally, some are affected more on a global level, which means that more than one currency pair and more than one currency is affected by one country's data. So, for example, changes in the euro will also affect the Swiss franc and vice versa. So we have the central bank, then we have unemployment data, we have global economic meetings like the G7 or G20, we have major events like elections, which happen every so often, and we have announcements by heads of countries. So we may see tweets, we may see releases, speeches by heads of countries, and that will affect it. So we have central bank stuff, we have economic data, we have speeches and people, and then we also have other things, and this is a kind of a side note, there is unexpected news as well. So of course we don't expect it because we don't know when it's going to happen, but do be aware that there are times, especially times of uncertainty, where unexpected things can happen, and the market may start moving and then very unexpectedly create a spike. It could be a black swan event, it could be just something simple that somebody said related to the government or the economy. So these are the important ones, and watch out for them in your plan for the week, and just be aware of what you're doing when you are trading around them, which we'll talk about in a minute. So let's move on to talking about how to read the news and where to look at the news announcements. Okay, so there are two popular websites you can use. One is forexfactory.com, where you will see a list of the news for that day or that week. You can make sure that the time on the clock here is the same as your local time, and then check the date that you're on the right date, and then you can choose your dates and see what's coming up for that week. Now you will see that you have the time of day that it happens, you'll have the currency, the country, and you will have the bit of news. Now the most important news are flagged up in red. So these are the ones to pay attention to, as well as anything unexpected, any major events or things going on like elections. So the red ones, the red folders are the important ones. And what you can do is you can filter, remove all the others, click apply, and then it will just display the red ones. And then you can see what's happening in the week. Now, Forex Factory doesn't always display it. It has most of them, but sometimes it misses some of them out. You can also go to a website called myfxbook.com on the economic calendar, and you will see a similar picture here with the time and date, the country with the flag, and the high importance and medium and low importance. So if we filter those out, then we click on this week, and you'll just see it filters and it shows you the high impact news. And sometimes there are some on this website which are not on Forex Factory, so you may want to use both just to double check that you're not missing anything. All right, so when the news does get released, when it comes to figures, you would see figures for that bit of news. For example, here you will see the releases. Now, it's not important to understand what the news actually provides, what the result of the news actually is. What's important is to know when it happens and the fact that there is a high chance of volatility because it's a high impact event, which means many traders are looking at the news and observing what's happening, and therefore there's a lot of liquidity, and therefore there's a lot of volatility. And the news result does not actually indicate which direction the market will go. The news is just a catalyst for the whole event. So do remember that, and when you incorporate that into your trading, all you need to do is stick to the chart and understand what's happening at that moment in time that the volatility will kick in. And positive news does not mean positive news for the economy and that the currency will strengthen or weaken. It just means that there will be more volatility. So do not equate positive news to strength in that currency. Okay, so now that you know how to be aware of the news and not to pay too much attention to the news releases, how do we actually trade with the news? All right, so let's go to a chart and actually show you an example of how the chart combines with the news and the volatility for trading opportunities. So in this example for today, I'm going to use the pound Aussie. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the analysis of the market of this pair, and then we're going to combine it with the timing of the news. So the technical analysis will be merged with the fundamental news to create a high probability trade where volatility will take place and the timing will be crucial. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, we can analyze on a technical basis the chart in front of us. So you may say, according to all your rules, that we have an uptrend, so we're looking to buy. You may say that we have a nice support resistance zone. You may say that we have a Fibonacci retracement and we have our EMAs, so we can look to trade somewhere within this zone. And as we're looking for the buy, we want to see an opportunity to buy. Now, what will happen is that the market will provide several fake opportunities to buy. So it looks like we have some price action. The market is bouncing off the area and it's time to place the buy. However, we need to be aware if there's any news coming along. So at the moment, all the confluences, all our rules are met. If this is your strategy, if these are the rules, the checklist that you go through. However, we do need to check for the news. So what should we do? We need to look whether we've got upcoming news. So let's just check that out. So we are on the 27th of October, beginning of 28th. So we need to be aware if there is any news on the 28th of October related to the pound or the Australian dollar. So let's look at that. We go to Forex Factory, 28th of October. We put that in here and we can see 20th of October. Indeed, there is Australian news. No pound, but there is Australian news and it's a major news. It's a CPI announcement, which is not one of the major news releases to look out for. However, it does move the market, perhaps not as others, but it's something to be aware of. So it is in the red category, high impact here, so we will pay attention to that. Now, this is happening at just after midnight, so we'll be aware of that, and it's happening on the 28th. So now that we know that, we could just place a marker at just after midnight on the 28th. And the way to trade with the news is to continue with your setup, continue with your analysis, but wait until after the news has broken. And once the news is broken, wait for that confirmation again on the same day or on the next day. And when you do get that confirmation, then you can enter your trade. Do not place the trade before or during. Allow the volatility to take place. So we don't know what to expect here. We could have very large spikes, unexpected, and we could be stopped out. So it wouldn't be wise to do that. So the best thing is to wait for that volatility to take place. So let's see what happens. We have the market moving up, then it started moving down very sharply just as the news hits, and then it's moving down some more. And as you can see, we have a lot of volatility. We have the market ranging, going up, going down, and it's not so clear what's happening. Then we have finally that push up, which is a price action confirmation here. And then that happened at between the London session and New York session. And we can see that then the price begins to move in the direction we expect, meaning we can place our trade and let it run. So that is how to incorporate the news. Again, just wait for that volatility to take place and the market to set, to even itself out, and place a trade in your intended analysis direction. And that was how to trade the news. Do stick to your intended analysis and wait patiently until the market has settled to actually place a trade. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. And finally, as a tip, as always, use the news as a point of interest, as we were just saying, with your setup in combination with the other factors, with your other rules and your checklist, and don't trade the news itself as it's highly risky. So be aware of that. Be patient, and if nothing happens, then leave the trade alone. Just stick to your analysis and your rules. Thank you, and see you on the next video.